This is my 2005 GMC 2500 with a little bit over 200,000 miles on it. We bought it a few years ago as a project truck to take it from what it currently is up to what we want. And the plan this fall was to rip the front end out and completely redo the front end. The fantastic news is we've got a really cool noise coming from the lower end of the engine, and I need to investigate that. So I got to take the oil pan off. Well, to take the oil pan off, I've got to completely remove the front end. So we're just going to go ahead and do it all. Why is it designed like that? I think a mechanic took an engineer's wife to a Coldplay concert years ago, and we've been paying the price ever since. If you know, you know. If you don't, Google it. Battery first. By the way, this is your reminder if you are new to the channel that is the wrong size wrench. But this is not a how-to. I'm not a professional by any means. I'm just a guy that can't afford a professional. And quite frankly, I've seen the prices from shops. I got a buddy that works at a shop. I don't know how people can't afford shops. The shop he works for charges what's called book time. Book time means that if the book says it's a 5-hour job, they bill for 5 hours. Now, it protects the customer, because if it takes them 8 hours because they don't know what they're doing or they make a mistake, the customer gets charged 5 hours. But if they're good at what they do, which they are, and it takes them 3 hours, the customer still gets charged for 5 hours. I've seen some of those prices for some of the jobs they're doing. I don't know how people can afford to own cars if you can't work on it yourself. Parking brake is set, and she's in park. Crazier things have happened, you know. Anyway, several years ago I made the decision, make sure I'm not putting the jack in a place that's gonna hurt me later. I should be okay right here. That I can do a job 4 or 5 times over myself. You know, get it wrong, make some mistakes. Still be cheaper than taking it to a shop, and learn something in the process. So that's what I started doing. I have definitely made my fair share of mistakes. Don't get me wrong. I've done several jobs twice because I didn't quite follow instructions. It happens. It's part of it. We got our jacks, we got tires, and we're blocked on the front. Feel okay with that. My latest addition to the shade tree shop, this moving blanket. A little bit of cushion, but more about not losing my tools in the gravel than anything. Here's the backside oil pan. You gotta drop this cross member, and if all the videos are correct online, I think we gotta drop the whole diff. Just in case this person is using this for research. We're looking at the backside oil pan, drain plug here, filter obviously. We've got bolts coming in from the backside of the transmission into the oil pan. We have this cross member right here, attached on each side. That's directly underneath the oil pan. That's got to come out. And all the videos online say that we got to drop this diff, which makes sense because the oil pan definitely goes up and over it. I say let's start with the cross member and see what we look like from there. Just casual observation, but the brake lines have all been replaced. You can tell because it looks like Medusa's living under here, and nothing is in the original brackets. But yeah, they tried their best when they did it. Couldn't find my 18 mil 1/2-inch impact socket, so we're doing this setup. Cool. What? Oh. Well, if you grab the right wrench, Mike, things would go better. Coming up with the worst possible ways to do this. And there's 1, 2, and they run all the way through here, so. There we go. You're not gonna believe this, but when you take those bolts out to hold the crossmember, the crossmember's gonna fall. I don't know. It's your daily reminder that Neil Koch from Dig Drive DIY is far more organized than I am. And he's got a lot of good tips when it comes to tearing stuff down. One of the things I've learned from Neil, Ziploc baggies with Sharpies are your best friend for keeping stuff organized. And then you just take that and you just throw it as far as you can because you know you're not going to remember where you put the bag anyway. So with that out of the way, there's the bottom of the pan. What a treat. Put the old impact socket on it. So these two on the back of the bell housing, they're 15. We got some 10s around the perimeter. Perimeter's a fancy word. Confirmed. I can't even get to all the bolts with the case in the way. We're gonna have to drop it. We'll do that here in a second. Since we're in it, and we planned on doing this fall anyway, we're also gonna go ahead and do the lower, the upper, and the outer. Replace some bushings and some things up here, replace the shock. I'm not super excited. It'll be nice when it's done, but this is forced maintenance. The good old fashioned forced maintenance. But that's okay. We're gonna get her. Just smile through the pain, boys. It didn't break. Off to a great start. Just get her zip tied up to hang up here out of the way for now. Just got the ABS line unhooked so it's out of the way of all this. Pad's got a lot of life in them yet. We will save those. Caliper bracket. Wonderful. I don't necessarily have to take these parts off, but if I do this and pop this rotor off, it just gives me a little bit more working room. Plus the fella might just clean those up and paint them. Nothing. The rotor's got a lot of meat left on it too. Hope we're not getting too caught up in the, well, might as well while we're here kind of stage. You know, that'll burn a hole in your pocket real quick. Now that I've actually got some room to work, we're gonna get these bolts unhooked right here. We'll do that on both sides, and I'll do the same thing on that side I did with the brakes over here. And I got a buddy running a VIN. If this truck's ever been in a shop and anything's ever been replaced, like bearings, upper, lowers, outers, or any other work to the engine, if they've done it in a shop, then it should have been logged in a database. He's gonna run the VIN and check for me, see if it's ever been in anywhere. Oh, that's the secret. You rotate it until it's somewhere you can access it. Okay. All right. Okay, that wasn't necessary. We didn't need to do that. We've got that side disconnected over there. I'm moving to this drive shaft next, so we'll go ahead and get that off. 7/16. Why do I have metal shavings on my drive shaft? Where did that come from? Yep, there you go, need some left tabs, okay. Okay. There we go. I gave it a hefty shake. If this was the main U joint, like the main rear drive shaft, we'd take it out and just put new ones in. But this is just for the front wheel drive or four wheel drive. It's not like we use it all that much. Some miscellaneous things like the vent. And then there's there it is, a little wiring harness right there. I saw in some videos where they removed the steering for more room, but it looks to me like we've got plenty of clearance, unless it's just in the way of getting the mounting bolts off. So we're getting ready to find out. So I see this one right here. 1, 2 there. At some point we're gonna have to get a jack underneath it. I'm kind of waiting until we get a couple of these out, so I still have some room to work, but I don't know. Surely there's more than just 3 bolts on this diff, right? Coming in from the driver's side, here's number 4. Right up in there, right above the vent. So maybe that's why they're taking the steering components out, to get better access to that. I think we can get around it. Update, that top one, you can get out without removing the steering linkage, but if I were going to do it again, which we will for the install, removing the steering linkage would definitely be the easier route. 21 on a breaker with a wrench is how we got that one out. Time consuming, but the last 3 look to be a lot easier. I'm gonna get a jack to put under this thing, see if we can't get her on the ground. There it goes, okay. So we unplugged that, but there's a couple clips that hold it on top of the transfer case. We got to get those clips undone. Otherwise it's gonna pull that wire with it. A little bit easier from this side. There we go. All right, so that should be out of the way, but let's tuck it up high. That way if this thing falls, we're not ripping that wiring out. Transmission jack would be better, but I don't own one. The side seems a little bound up. It's because of the way this bracket is and the way that's sitting like that. It's got to go forward. But it cannot go forward unless we remove the steering. Oh yeah, it's perfect, you know? I can't get that passenger side to come loose, but we've got this side to come loose. I got this turned all the way, and I think with that being disconnected and turned, and that's shoved all the way up there, I think that'll give us enough clearance. We're gonna try it. I don't know. I can't figure out how to get this thing out of here. It's stuck here forever. I repositioned the jack, thinking maybe the way the jack was in there had it in a bind. We'll try it this way. Oh yeah, oh, easy. Don't go too far. That might be it there, the way the jack was sitting. This may be faster than I want it, but... Okay, all right. Hey, that wasn't too bad. I mean, doing it wasn't great, but now look at all the room we have for activities, huh? I did notice something suspicious. Remade in the USA. Not made in the USA. Remade. Interesting. These 2 in the back. They got some length to them. Update. Those old cooler lines, that's on the block. This one screw, this one right here in the corner, it comes off. When that comes off, that actually just clips in. So that's it. And I think we're down to these 2 right here. I don't know how heavy this is. Oh, I don't know how people are getting this off without taking the diff off. Okay. Kind of nervous for his next step. I mean, there's a chance I could have done this all for nothing, and honestly, well, it's not all for nothing because there's something going on in here. I don't know if it's the top side or the bottom end. It sounds like the bottom end. Okay. Apparently the pickup tube's just held on by one bolt. It's a couple days later, wardrobe change. Seems like the AC in the shop got fixed. 80 degrees today, very nice. True to the point of the video is that the whole DIY mechanic thing, there's a big difference between a shade tree mechanic and a real mechanic. And the biggest difference is a real mechanic like Wes from Watch Wes Work, he knows how to diagnose things. So he probably doesn't waste as much time poking and prodding around for where he thinks the problem might be. A shade tree mechanic like myself who works on my own stuff because he doesn't want to pay someone else to do it, well, we might end up in the wrong spot every now and then. Not the end of the world, because even though we have not located the problem, we now have eliminated one spot for it, and we know topside's probably where she's going to be. We're going to check out the lifters here in just a second. But I thought there might be some connecting rod chatter. Maybe the bearings are worn out. This truck has over 200,000 miles. But you can tell someone's been in here. A few clues. We had different size bolts on the oil cooler lines right here. Another clue is the gaskets. Yeah, the gasket's still attached to the block. Well, we know that the GM gaskets are riveted to the oil pan. So this gasket's been changed and somebody's been in here. And it was just really good to actually get my hands and eyes on the connecting rods down here and see that everything is tight. It is good. I put a pry bar on each one. We went this way, no movement at all. And there's just some peace of mind knowing that this part of the engine is solid and we don't have to worry about it. The other thing that we found, even though this isn't the problem, you'll notice I do have a tear in that oil pan gasket. And you'll notice there is some moisture on the front of this bell housing. Now it could be a rear main seal, that's certainly a possibility, but there's also a chance that this gasket that they put on, this aftermarket gasket, could be leaking right here at this tear, and maybe that's where some of that moisture is from. So even though we didn't find the problem, we found a problem. And while we're waiting for that gasket, we're going to tear into the top end of this thing and see if we can't find the noise. My suspicion is, if it's not chatter on those connecting rods, it's probably a lifter stuck, because that is a common issue with this truck. I had a little bit of time the other day after my battery died on the camera, so you can see the coil packs are already off as well. Get this intake off of here. My hope here is I've got access to everything and we can just take this and flop it all in one piece off to the side here. Five on each side. I'm finding on these, if you just try to squeeze and pull up, it won't come off. If you squeeze and push down just a little, they pop right off. No problem. Okay. Oh man, for all the blowing we did, there's still a lot of junk in there. We want to be careful here. Something's acting like it's still attached somehow. What is it? What is that? Oh, you're gonna hook it back there, you're just caught on the ground strap. Okay. Is that it? That's it. Oh yeah. Okay. Intake out. I'm going to pull this cover off. I'm just looking to make sure they're all the same length. I believe the issue is a stuck lifter. And these have what are called roller lifters. And if you look on the end of that lifter, you can see the cam in the middle. On the end of that lifter, there's a little roller that rides around on the cam and obviously does our push rods. And I don't know which one's stuck. There are tons of videos online on how to test for bad lifters before you take the whole engine apart. But you know, here we are. We're going to see if there's any rockers missing or something crazy. Yeah, they're all there. Let's check this out. I can reach down in here. I can get on the end of that lifter. That lifter is free. See it pushing the push rod? We could put a ratchet on the engine and we could turn it over slowly and see if all of these are functioning like they're supposed to. If we get movement out of all of those, and if one of them doesn't have movement, that's going to tell us a little bit too. There, right there. I just stopped. It's meeting resistance. I got movement all through these. In fact, as long as I've got the engine turned in the right spot, I can see all the lifters plain as day from the bottom side. That's super duper handy. Something sounds not great though, I'm going to tell you that right now. I got some exploring to do. Something sounds crunchy at a certain point, and that's crunchy's not good. Cross manifold is disconnected. Those bolts came out fine. In fact, this engine seems to have an issue with those bolts wanting to stay in the first place. I don't think my 3/8 is going to kick it, but we'll try it because it's handy. It's not. It's just, shouldn't have even tried that. Hold on, I'll be right back. Yeah. Am I catching everything? Looks like I'm catching most of it down there. Most of it's pretty admirable. Pull these out, and that's where the lifters are at. This is the pack here where we think we've got the problem. It's gonna sound crazy to say, but I really hope there's something screwed up in here. Oh gosh. I got some baby channel locks, but that'll work. It does. Okay. Please be broken. Neat. We're having a good time. As weird as it sounds, we really want something to be messed up here because we really just want to find the problem. First one looks perfectly fine. Absolutely coated in oil, looking mint, no visible damage, no play in the roller. Strike number 2. I gotta quit doing that. We gotta stop dropping them, man. What are we doing? Okay. Number 3, absolutely coated in oil. Looks spectacular. Strike 3. Strike 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay, I'm gonna try not to breathe. I'm gonna get you close with the mic here. Maybe you can listen to it. There's a rough spot in there. What is that? What is that rough spot? The other head's off, the other lifters are out. Strike 9 through 16. Now these lifters have just a touch of play, but nothing that would make that grinding noise or the heavy, heavy tick that we were getting out almost called a knock. So, suspicious. It sounds like I might have been right with my first hunch about something going on with the crank. Good way to find out, we can put the ratchet on it, give it a spin, and if we still get that grinding noise, well, I'm going to be really just the happiest I've ever been. That is the sound. Okay. But I think one of the biggest issues with the DIY thing versus taking it to a mechanic is, for me, on the DIY aspect of it, I do a tremendous amount of research of what the problem might be. And because something has a common problem, I get really headstrong that that has to be where it's at. An actual mechanic is good at diagnosis, and they're going to find the problem a lot quicker. Because sometimes you'll tear your whole truck down to the block, and you didn't need to. Let me show you. Sometimes you'll be laying under here, staring at the block, trying to figure out what is making that sound. And then out of the corner of your eye, you'll see this. Yep. Do believe that would make a pretty hefty ticking sound every time it made contact. And once it backed out far enough, it would definitely account for our grind. So if you got the money, probably mechanic's the best way to go. It may be there a while, you know. It might take them less time to find the problem, but it still might sit in their lot for a couple weeks until they can get a look at it. But it'd save you a heck of a lot of trouble. If you don't have the money and you're kind of like me and you're just trying to keep everything together and figure it out as you go, you can do it. It is 100% possible. Just, you know, be prepared to embrace the suck, because sometimes it does. Sometimes it does. Also, if you get hurt doing it, it's not because I said you could do it. It's on you. It's on you. You got to be smart enough to not hurt yourself. That's a you problem. This is a me problem. I'm going to start putting them back together. That'll be the next video. We did get all new front end components. They're at the house because the front end looks pretty awful. And that was on the list. And there's a couple things we're going to change out on this engine while we've got it torn down to this. So it just seems like a good time to do it. Not mad about it. Fella can't complain about his own decisions. If it's your first Captain Kleeman video, welcome. Welcome to the normal everyday chaos. If you've been with us for a while, here we are. I don't think you're surprised by it. If you want a little bit of a chuckle, scroll through the comments, because this is the last part of the video. People always comment before the video's over, which means there are hundreds of diagnoses down in the comment section. Some of them might be right, some of them might be wrong. These Haynes manuals, they're fantastic, man. How to take it apart, how to put it together. They got pictures, they got torque specs, they got all the answers, and most of the answers to your questions to keep you from turning this thing into a giant boat anchor, you know? I have a large collection of boat anchors. I need this one to be able to pull a boat. I don't have a boat. I don't have a boat. I have a land boat.